let's try and reconcile. Why can't we? I don't know what your relationship with Robin and Mary are, but I'm just not interested in being involved in with those people. And that's sad, because that's the deal we made about plural marriage.
If we're not together, then I don't know why I would nurture a relationship with Robin and Mary. There's not a lot in common. There's nowhere that we cross over. I don't know why I would do that. So like, it feels like something he's trying to use to excuse his behavior. Why would I want to get back together with you? It's your fault. You'll be a bad sister wife.
Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Monday, April 15th, 2024. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. We know now that season 19, whether fans want to watch it or not, whether viewers are going to watch it or not, will return for Sister Wives. We also know that TLC will not announce the new season until about a month before the show will go on air. I looked back at previous press releases, and season 18, which debuted in August, on August 20th, was announced in July, and season 17, which debuted on September 11th, was announced in August of 2022. So if we're gonna go past last year's timeline, the new season should start sometime in July-ish, because they seem to be on an 11-month schedule. Regardless, there was an entire season that was filmed that hasn't aired yet. What TLC plans to do with that season 19 remains to be seen. It seems unlikely that season 19 will be solely focused on Garrison, simply because there was content filmed already that hasn't aired. McKelty had her children. Christine and David meet, even though their wedding was shown at the end of season 18. Season 19 was supposed to be the introduction of David and then the lead up to their wedding, which is kind of backwards, but I digress. And they were supposed to show the first time that David and Kody meet. There was supposed to be a lot of drama, regarding this family. So what are we at for right now? What's going on? And where is Janelle Brown at? Now, Janelle Brown was recently on her Instagram, and she shared a photograph of Gabriel. Gabriel Brown was the sibling that was contacted by Logan Brown to go to the home to check on Garrison Brown after he had sent texts to Janelle that concerned her. Interestingly, I watched a short clip of a video by Pop Psych, and he gave me a perspective I hadn't considered yet. He is a psychologist, and he thinks that the last message that Garrison sent to the crew along with Kody and Dayton was a goodbye. And regardless if anyone responded, wouldn't have changed the outcome. That was his position, that it appeared as though he had made steps and taken steps and made decisions. And so therefore, Kody's non-response, family members' non-response wouldn't have changed anything, because he, in Pop Psych's mind, may have been already, the decision was made, he was doing what he was gonna do. This last text message was a goodbye, and that shortly thereafter, his life was ended. Well, Gabriel hasn't been on the scene. He hasn't said anything publicly. He was only seen in one photograph that was shared by the National Guard. And then recently, Janelle returned to Flagstaff. She has been spending time in Flagstaff, and she has been spending time in North Carolina. I had an entire video put together about how she had started a business with Madison. It's halfway edited, and I just never finished it because I got sidetracked with another story. But she is living part-time in North Carolina with Caleb and Maddie, which is interesting because Caleb and Maddie don't have a huge house. They only have like 3 bedrooms and they have 3 kids. But maybe she's like staying on a couch. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. She seems like maybe she's even bringing her RV there. She could be. Regardless, she and Maddie started this farming business, and she's going to be spending like half her time in North Carolina with Maddie and Caleb, and then half her time in Flagstaff, which is likely due to her commitments with filming. So she'll return to Flagstaff for filming, and she'll also return to Flagstaff because she has kids there. Well, she shared a photograph on her Instagram which said, "I'm back in Flagstaff this week. Gabe's friends held a Friendsgiving today as one of the group is an international student at NAU. Had never been to a Thanksgiving and will be returning home at the end of the semester. I got to enjoy the meal and did none of the cooking. It was fun. We got to sample some Australian dishes like thanks Elle, sausage rolls, and lamingtons." I hope I didn't butcher those words. And then in the photograph, you see Gabriel at the front and then a bunch of his friends around the table. Gabe cut all of his hair off. And what I did not realize, and I guess I should have known, is that his hair is curly. But I guess I always knew that. And another striking notice of this is that I never realized how much Leon and Gabriel look alike. Like, those two are spitting images of each other. But Gabriel looks, as best he can. And I'm so happy to see that he's surrounded by friends and he has support with his friends and he's got a good support network at NAU. That's going to make a huge difference for him. And I'm also super glad to see Janelle committed to her children and committed to being there for them and making time for them. Because no matter what, it's their kids that matter. And as she's always said, her children are her Achilles heel. Her post was met with overwhelming support and so much love with so many different people just being glad to see Gabriel in a photograph smiling. Gabriel has a very, very low profile on social media. He doesn't post really ever. He doesn't speak ever really at all on social media. He lives a kind of invisible life as far as a social media presence. So I'm glad to see Gabriel is doing okay. I wanted to talk about this new article that came out by The Sun, which is saying that Janelle is vowing to focus and check on her kids after her son took his own life and left her heartbroken. And it says she regretted not getting her son help in the past. That's the tagline from The Sun. Those are their words, not mine. So please don't get mad at me. Okay, so it says, Sister Wives Janelle Brown has made a vow to herself to focus on her children more following her son's death, a source has claimed to The Sun. While the medical examiner's office has yet to complete the full investigation, it was reported that the National Guard vet previously struggled with depression and had an alcohol addiction, according to the police reports. The investigation is closed, but they don't have the toxicology reports yet, so they don't know if he had any alcohol or drugs in his system. But there's no suspicion of foul play. Flagstaff PD has been clear about that, so it's not really under investigation, but it's still open. But it's not open because there is a suspicion that foul play occurred. I just want to be very clear about that. They say that Janelle had told the police that she should have gotten help in the past, which, again, I don't blame her for that. And those were her words to the police, which I'm sure she carries a sense of responsibility, but she shouldn't because it is not her fault. So what the source said is Janelle is heartbroken. She is completely destroyed. She's grieving and mourning his loss privately without sharing her struggles so much with her fans. Janelle doesn't have a big community of people in her world unless she's with her family. So it is good that her fans are really supportive. People are worried about her. She's not really herself, and obviously it will take some time to process and heal. You know, one thing that Maddie Brown had mentioned was that there's a thing called the highlight reel, where it's easy to post something on Instagram or on social media, which is a simple snapshot of your life, one moment, one time, a smile, which does not indicate the entirety of what's going on. And so Janelle's coming from a world where women really are to put on their best face. They're supposed to keep sweet. They're supposed to be happy. And there is this whole idea about their countenance being happy. And so part of this is just, this is who she is. She's going to publicly be happy. Privately, she's probably struggling. And I've no doubt she is. But I really don't think anyone should be hating on her for posting photos where she's smiling. She has every right to smile. On a post on her Instagram, she said, "It's been hard to get my brain to work properly again. I am so grateful for the outpouring of love and support I received these last 3 weeks." So she says that she's vowing to focus on her kids amid the BS that she's had to deal with ever since separating from Kody. It's interesting that they would say that she's the BS that she's had dealing with her separating from Kody. I know she's going to spend her time focusing on her kids. There will be no more BS. Wherever her kids go is where Janelle will go. She's already made it clear. She's spending more time on checking with each kid as much as possible physically. She's going to spend her life focusing on her kids. This is a huge change and a very good one for her. And I'm very proud of her for this, because where she comes from, children are not often considered. It's the husband is the top, the wife is to adore the husband, and children are not at all they're often neglected. Recently, I obtained a transcript of a conference that the AUB held in September of 2023. Now, Janelle has been very clear that she is not a part of this church. She cannot simply go there and ask for a release. But in a September 2023 conference, the brethren talked with the members about how there's been abuse, a lot of it, in families, like acknowledging it. Now, this kind of is a little bit damaging control, but given this happens to fall in right when Kody and the show is going on air, and it felt very much like this conference is a response to Kody's family sort of falling apart. But one of the brethren talked about men that are abusing their wives, but in one of their speeches, this is what they said, and maybe this will give you some insight into how some families treat their children. I hear this kind of abuse going on in family levels, and it just breaks my heart. It brings me back so many memories of my mother and dad. That's not what the gospel of Jesus Christ that I learned. I hate to say this, but I think in the majority of cases, particularly where plural marriage is involved, the husband spends so much time dancing on tables to please the wives and their needs and their wants that the children are almost swept under the rug. I think that's true. And if I'm wrong, you can throw tomatoes at me. No tomatoes, so I guess I'm right. Improper example. So this is someone who's a leader in the church acknowledging that men are so distracted by the women that they do not place any proper priority into their children. Kody always talks about the dance. But regardless, children and their problems and their issues are swept under the rug because dad is too busy running around trying to please the wives. The wives are too busy trying to, one, compete with each other for dad's attention, and two, trying to manage their own sadness and their jealousy and the neglect that they experience. And so the dads don't prioritize the kids, and as he is saying, the kids end up being neglected. They also talked about emotional neglect that happens in this group. This is another quote from the transcript from September 2023 of the Priesthood Conference in Bluffdale, Utah. There's a kind of abuse that goes on, and I think a lot of times we're not even aware of it. In fact, that's what makes it so sinister, I think, is that it's an emotional neglect. It's basically a failure to respond or notice the needs of someone else. I think of times we fall into this snare. It's not like a physical abuse, it's intangible. It's not that you've necessarily done anything wrong, it's just that you haven't done anything at all. And there's many people who are very complacent and not doing anything at all. In fact, men in particular will use sports or hunting or camping or TV or sometimes even work projects to neglect prioritizing time for their relationships with their loved ones. They're giving a lot of excuses for men to not have relationships with their kids, but they're acknowledging that there's a problem in their culture with men ignoring their children. In the same conference, they acknowledge that there are women coming to them complaining about their husbands physically abusing them, and they still won't let them be released. And even with all of that abuse, they tell people to endure to the end, because they say the united order requires sacrifice, it requires giving, it requires desiring things for others more than yourself to the point where you sacrifice yourself for them. So all of this is to say that for Janelle to now be at a place where she is done worrying about Kody, because when she was with Kody, she had to worry about him, right? Now she doesn't, so she can put her kids first. This is something similar that Christine spoke about too, that she wanted to put her kids first and she would never neglect their needs again. And for that, I am so glad that they have made that choice. So it goes on to say, I know she's going to spend time focusing on her kids. There is no more BS. Wherever her kids go is where Janelle will go. She's already made that clear. She's spending more time checking in with each kid as much as physically possible. She spent Easter with Maddie. She went to Arkansas to spend time with Logan. She recently went back to Flagstaff to spend time with Gabe. And they were asked if Janelle's relationship with Kody will change. And according to them, he is not considering any chance of reconciliation with her. He's put up a wall and is internalizing his feelings. He's focused more on himself and moving on. He's in a very dark spot and he's very depressed. This will not bring them together. Now, she has said in the past that she has to remain married to him because of her faith, and she doesn't really have a release, and they've never formally terminated their marriage. I hope at some point they both can come to a place where they say this marriage is over. It's never going to be back. We're never going to get back together. And he gives her the freedom to move on, where she doesn't have to be internally connected to him. Because I'm guessing that even though they're not together, he might be still qualifying her as a wife in his eternity, if he still even believes in that, which I don't know where he's at. He said he has lost his religion, but he said he hasn't left it all together. He hasn't completely abandoned his faith. So I really don't know where they're at. But everyone is extremely broken and tortured, and it's been very painful for everyone. So Janelle is going to spend time focusing on her kids, which is amazing because Janelle is continuing to get out of the indoctrination, and she is learning to prioritize herself, prioritize her children, and hopefully become a stronger family with the kids and the family that she has. She needs all kinds of support and all kinds of love. And in time, as she continues to deconstruct, I'm sure you're going to see an even more confident and self-assured woman, and even more, she will never be the same after what has happened. But I have a sense, given everything I've heard about her, and listen, I want to be super clear. I speak to a lot of people that know them, a ton. I speak to family members. I speak to friends from church. I speak to friends that they had in Lehigh. I've spoken to people that have worked with them. I've spoken with and worked with them like on Sister Wives, worked with them before Sister Wives, people that have been neighbors with them in both Vegas and in Flagstaff. And do you know there is one person in the family I have never heard a single person say anything negative about? And it's Janelle Brown. She is the one the person in this family that everyone says is the nicest person you will ever meet. So friendly, so kind, such a sweetheart. That's Janelle. And I'm so hopeful for her future. It's heartbreaking what she has to go through right now, but I know she's going to come through on the other side, and she's going to use this in some way to make her life better, and she will. And I'm confident that they will not let Garrison's legacy and memory be lost. So what are your thoughts about this new decision by Janelle and Kody and her being done for good? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to leave me a comment, or make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click on the bell so you never miss a video. Bye guys.